And Beckham saw Sullivan off his line. Oh!
This is a private member's bar.
That is absolutely phenomenal.
Exclusively for the supporters of the greatest football team in the world.
Cleared, Giggs with a shot. Sheringham!
Manchester United.
Beckham into Sheringham. And Solskjaer has won it!
Welcome back to the Big Ian Smalls podcast. I guess all I can do is, before we were talking, I said we will do a Brighton recap. Unintentionally, I said that. So we will do a Brighton recap of the crappy match that was. And you know what I also have to say, D, before we start the podcast? Who's in first place in fantasy football right now?
No, you are, but you definitely
Yeah.
You shot your load
I
way
shot my load a little early, but hey, I'm still in first place, so that's all that matters.
For now. Using triple captain the second week of the season is exactly strategic.
Oh yeah, it's all part of the deep strategy. I'm just a straight tactician, D.
I can tell based on the fact that it's triple captain second weekend. Just go big or go home.
Exactly. All right. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and get right into this bad boy. Oh God, where to begin? At least for me, I mean, honestly, my biggest takeaway is, and we have for the listeners, we have a group chat that we are, always going back and forth on. Honestly, the biggest thing for me is, besides all the other stuff, that we'll get into, it's like, I don't understand why Garnacho isn't starting. Like, it's noticeably different when he's on the pitch. He's involved, he's essentially been involved in basically all the goals we scored, or even the ones that have been taken back due to offsides or whatever. Like, I don't understand that. And why is Marcus Rashford on the pitch? He's done absolutely nothing. He kind of looks like he's completely lost out there, D.
No, he does. We've already talked about that before. I'm really confused as well why Garnacho hasn't started, considering how well he did in the Charity Shield, and I thought, right, he'll start in the next match. He didn't start him against Fulham. And then I thought, okay, Rashford again wasn't up to speed at all against Fulham. Thought he was going to start Garnacho again. Didn't. Rashford, all right, he scored a goal, but he was offside. But Alan Shearer came out and absolutely destroyed Rashford, just saying, listen, he's not young anymore. He's not a young... No, up-and-coming player like Manu, Garnacho, and those kind of players. He's 26, 27.
He's been in the league for a minute, so...
And he's constant, and it seems now that teams have figured it out. They just almost play like an offside trap on him because Rashford doesn't look across the line. So he has to, this weekend, I'd be very, very surprised if Rashford starts. And if he does start, then I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Garnacho might get a little disgruntled because, technically, Garnacho should have scored the winner, or possibly a winner.
Yeah.
Without the unfortunate intervention of Xerxes, but at the same time, like you rightly said, when Garnacho comes on the pitch, it's a completely different dynamic. United look a lot more potent going forward. You could just tell that he's going to try to create something where Rashford just doesn't, unless Rashford can get clear, unless somebody does a man mark him and he gets clean through, and even then he still misses his chances. I don't know what's happened with him. He used to be explosive. He used to play. Rashford used to play exactly how Garnacho plays right now. Fearless, going at players, trying to just creating havoc. Now it's the point where Rashford thinks he can just sprint around somebody, and it's not the case. He's 27. No. He should be in his absolute peak. And if anything, he looks like somebody that's at the tail end of their career that's about to probably retire in 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. The drop off has just been so dramatic. I mean, I really don't understand it. I wonder if a lot of it is mental, just because of different things going on with him or whatever. I mean, I don't know, man. I can't figure him out for the life of me.
I don't think anybody can, and I'm thinking I think the only reason Ten Hag might be playing him as long as he has is just to sort of think maybe if I just keep playing him, he's going to come good.
He'll snap out, yeah.
Yeah, he'll get a goal, and then that'll boost his confidence, and he'll get out of his rut and stuff. But it's at the point now where how much longer is he going to play him? At the point where he's not performing for United, and then you have to look at the bigger picture here. You have to look at is Rashford contributing well to the team, or is he struggling? Like, we don't. Every fan can tell he's struggling. So, like, pull the old Yeller, take him out back, and just take him out of his misery. Like, I'm not saying like get rid of him or anything, but you and I talked earlier too, saying that I thought that, and we talked in the previous podcast too, that we hoped that the snub by England by Gareth Southgate would really spur on Rashford. The first thing he would do, come out of the gates renting, like just fly out of the gates and get a couple of goals in the first two matches against Fulham and Brighton. You'd expect him to do that, and he hasn't. So it's almost the point where and you read all those stories that Van Nistelrooy was brought back and Van Nistelrooy's taking him under his wing and he's doing extra sessions with Rashford and stuff. But like Alan Shearer said, he goes, I don't know what they're doing in training because he doesn't even seem to stay on side. He doesn't look across the line.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that's like, the man, like you said, the man's, 27, 28 years old. I mean, that's not things that you should be thinking about. Like, you're in the prime of your career. You should not be constantly having those things and, looking and worrying about being off sides or whatever. Super frustrating, man.
Well, I was thinking about the fact that it is a little bittersweet, like, that McTominay is leaving, going to Napoli, but like you sort of have to think now, okay, McTominay was second top goal scorer last year from midfield as a non-starter, and he's being sold. He's being deemed surplus to requirements, whereas Rashford didn't score anywhere near the same amount of goals as McTominay did last year. Yeah, and he's getting a starting spot, and he's been almost like wrapped up in cotton wool by Eric Ten Hag. So I'm not understanding that.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because as I was looking on Twitter or X earlier, I came across a tweet that basically it was an ironic tweet. It kind of made me chuckle or whatever. Is like, get rid of all the the players that aren't pulling their weight, the ones that are crap or whatever. And then it says, or in quote it said, oh no, not him, he's untouchable or whatever. It didn't really name Rashford or whatever or by name, but it just goes to your point. Basically, is saying is like, why is he on some kind of pedestal just because he has been so up and down and inconsistent, outgoing one year where he's a goal scoring machine to the past, last season, and it's looking like it's going the same way this year. Is like, why are we offloading a guy who is, like you said, second top goal scorer in the club for someone who's basically doing nothing?
No, exactly. And they give this, like McTominay too, like, if United's going to go forward, and I've seen this all over the place when people are trying to justify United getting rid of McTominay, like, is McTominay, if United want to go start challenging for the Premier League and get back in the Champions League and maybe even win the FA Cup again or possibly win the League Cup, is McTominay going to be one of the integral players that's going to do that? No, I don't think he's technical enough. But at the same time, what McTominay did, and what another player that sort of reminds me of that was bittersweet, Ander Herrera was on, like, doing the same thing, and like he ended up.
Yeah, you're right.
He left, and like you could tell he actually wanted to play for United, but then he ended up leaving contract, all that kind of stuff. But McTominay's the same way. McTominay's United through and through. Came through the academy, plays definitely with a lot of heart, and you've got the likes of Rashford that. We had some disciplinary problems last year as well. You never hear anything bad about McTominay. Like, they want him to stay. I think as a fan, you would want him to stay just because of the fact that he does come up and with a great goal here and there. But at the same time, for his career, I don't think it'd be good for McTominay to sit on the bench, especially with Ugarte being signing today as well.
Oh, yeah, with Ugarte coming in. I mean, I don't know where the playing time would come for him, to be honest. I don't know.
Exactly. So that's the thing we have to sort of, you have to look at the players that actually, McTominay does want to play football, and I think sitting at United on the bench is not going to do any good for him.
Well, I mean, and to be honest, I mean, he is good enough to start at a lot of other teams, especially like a team like Napoli. I mean, he's, I believe he was top goal scorer for the Scottish national team, or one of them or whatever. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely good enough to start at a lot of other teams. So I didn't really want to see him to go. I mean, I'm not gonna shed a gigantic tear over him. But yeah, I mean, like you said, he was one of the ones who was united through and through, and been with the club basically his whole life. So I mean, yeah, from that standpoint, it's a little, I guess, bittersweet or whatever, and I'm sure it is for him
definitely.
too.
And like, here's the thing: I have to think. I think it also didn't make much sense to me with the McTominay leaving. Is how long is Casemiro going to be at United? Like last season, a lot of people were thinking like he's done. Like, he might be going to, Saudi Arabia and pick up a big paycheck. And then he's played well so far this season. But we're only 2 matches on. Let's see if he can keep it going. But one of the things that one of the things I was interested to see, like a lot of people were saying, I was like, what's the long term plan here? Is like Ugarte's great, but then say Casemiro ends up deciding to want next season, like he just doesn't. What if Casemiro falls off drastically? Like he did last season, and all of a sudden Ugarte's ends up not being the solution everyone thought it was. Like Ten Hag, there's some of the decisions Ten Hag's making in terms of transfers. Like I get he wants to bring in players, but then there's also players he's letting go of that I don't think he should have. Like he wants to try to bring back you always heard that they brought back Steve McLaren, and Steve McLaren's now the manager of Jamaica, which I cannot wait for his first interview, because like McLaren has this habit of picking up an accent, and like I physically I cannot wait to hear him being like, no,
yeah, man.
Remember Steve McLaren, man, you're Bob McLaren.
Yeah, man. He'll call man.
But no, seriously, like, in a serious note, I think Ten Hag, he brought back Ruud van Nistelrooy, and everyone's like, oh, he's bringing back United's DNA, but then he's getting rid of a player that came through the academy, and like, no, are you losing the DNA there? Yes, a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, is McTominay gonna help United challenge the likes of City and Arsenal and even Liverpool? Nah, I don't think it.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so.
Is Casemiro going to be around long enough and be able to play, the big matches and perform consistently well? And is Ugarte going to be able to come in and really, like you and I both watched him
hit the ground running
at Copa America, and like that, one of the things that was one of Ferguson's biggest, he stopped doing it after Cleberson in 2002 was he said don't buy a player based on a tournament performance, because they don't end up playing the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just like, no, it's a tournament's a once in a lifetime. Like some of these players might play in a World Cup, Copa America, the Euros one time in their career, so they don't want to waste that chance. So they play unbelievable, and then they go to the club.
And then they just kind of go back to what they used to, and not really caring, because they know that was their one shot in a major tournament.
So, with that being said, like Ten Hag, his decision making on some of the transfers has been a good transfer window. It has been in terms of bringing in players where they needed them. I am still a little like the Brighton match alone. If you look up the stats, like Brighton pretty much almost, I think they bettered United in percentage of possession. They had similar shots. So I think United had like 14 and Brighton had like 11 or 12. Both had similar shots on target, and then both had, I know they had 2 cleared chances each. So they're getting the chances, they're not taking them. Their final third production's absolutely abysmal, as it was last year. But one of the things that really stands out to me is the fact that, like, Ten Hag's bringing in players, and he's bringing in the centre backs, he's bringing in a right back, he's bringing in a centre defensive midfielder. A lot of the things that you and I talked about in previous podcasts are the positions United need to bring on. But again, one of the biggest voids in United is the fact that we don't have another forward. Like, Højlund went down with an injury. And Ten Hag's experimenting with Mason Mount being the Bruno being, Mason Mount and Bruno interchanging, being false nines. Mason Mount's the trigger to get the press going, but at the same time, then he's got Bruno not playing his most effective position. And it's clear to see now that like Ten Hag's trying his best. But one thing, it's clear as day. United still give it way too many chances. They're still giving up too many shots. Opposing teams are still getting through that midfield. They're still getting, so Ten Hag still hasn't learned from his mistakes of last year. And with that being said, it just brings us on to the point too about the fact that his in-game substitutions have been abysmal again. Like we talked about it earlier, you and I, but I get he wanted to give maybe McTominay a swan song. against Brighton because of the fact he was leaving.
Yeah.
But again, you're there to win a fucking football match. You're not there to win fucking hearts. You know what I mean? Like, you're there to win a football match. Like,
exactly. And why, again, I'm okay if that was what he was trying to do, but why are you taking Bruno off? You're captain of the team, and you before we even thought, you brought up a great point too, is not only you took Bruno off, you took McGuire off too, so as you took off your captain and your vice captain at the same, so what's going on here, man?
You can sort of see that, like, for over the last few years, everyone's always said that United don't have that. There's no leaders, there's no character in the team, and then you've got Bruno, and some people might think he's not captain material. I think he is. I think you and I have made it evidently clear when we were both applauding the fact United gave him the new contract and made him one of the highest paid players of the club.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, he took him off, and even Bruno was a little bemused by it. He like smirked as it came off to be like, seriously, like, no, like what?
Yeah,
what,
really?
There's a lot of players in that pitch that didn't really do much, that didn't deserve to be on the pitch, and he's taking Bruno off, and it's one each at the time, and then he's taking off McGuire for DeLitt, and I'm like, I get it, you're wanting to break DeLitt down, but you want to partner him up with Martinez again, and all. I get all that, but at the same time, it's almost like he's making subs just because he wants to, just for the sake of making a sub. He's not doing it for tactics.
Yeah, he's just doing it. Honestly, that's kind of how I felt. You hit the nail on the head with that. Is like he's just bringing the new shiny toy on just because he wants to, get them out, I guess, and like you said, play with them, or probably even like let the fans see him or whatever. And if that's the reason why you're making a substitution, then why are you doing it?
Exactly, because like tactically, it didn't make any sense. Like, you're taking off. Like, McTominay can get a goal. Like, McTominay can get goals, but one of the key things when McTominay was getting some of those goals is they had Bruno on the pitch as well. Bruno was still on the pitch, so taking one of your chief playmakers, one of the like Bruno's stats speak for themselves when his goals to assist record for United since he joined.
Mm-hmm.
But you're taking the one fella, and like, did Bruno have a great match? No, but nobody did in that United team.
I would take Bruno at his 80% or 90% or whatever. I would take him over most other players at that, and he's your captain too. So I don't know. That's just how I feel.
No, exactly, and that's so he took him off, and he brought on McTominay. So you're bringing off a center defensive midfielder. Taking off a center attacking midfielder, like a playmaker, to bring on an old midfielder / center midfielder who was going to be the greatest spark then for United going forward. There wasn't one. So like.
Nope.
Was Ten Hag happy enough with the draws? That way he decided to go ahead and just bring on another holding midfielder and then bring on another centre back. Like, there was no tactic.
I guess because that was like at the 75th minute, or it's like just before the 80th minute. I feel like he made that change.
It was like 78th, 79th. I think that's what it was. But again, it just didn't make any sense to me. And then the defense still looked a shambles. Like the winning goal. There was a man standing back post. Again, if you watch there's two substitutes. There's two substitutes brought on. We're standing next to one another. DeLitt, and McTominay. McTominay's marking someone. DeLitt is marking nobody.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm not usually one for like big stats, but I saw this on X earlier, and it goes actually, to the defense. So, all right, so obviously we all know what Fergie time is, and, basically his 26 plus year career there, goals that he had scored in added time after the 90th minute, it was 8 times. Ten Hag's already basically has had 7 times instances where that's happened in his time with United.
And it's not,
I don't know. That's it. Again, I'm not really a huge on stat guy, but that just speaks volumes
even
to me.
Last year, again, like I'm going to harp on saying that like Ten Hag doesn't seem to learn from his mistakes from last season. United conceded something like 20 goals last year at the 80th minute or later. 20 goals last year, and they were only in the second match of the season, and they've already notched one. So and we're 36 more matches in the league to go. And he's already got one, so it's like the
exactly.
Point where, like,
it's not like Brighton aren't chumps or whatever, but we should beat Brighton, regardless if it's away. And we seem to they seem to play us well for whatever reason the last several seasons. I don't know what it is.
That's the thing, and that's the thing that genuinely blows my mind right now. With Ten Hag now he's joined, and he's going into his third season at United, and has he won trophies? Yes, but they no. You've got other managers coming into a club for the first time. You got like Arne Slot having to take over from Klopp, and he seems to have implemented his philosophy and his tactical mindset into the team already, based on what I've seen against Brighton. And then you've got even that new Chelsea manager, the ex-Leicester manager, he's come in and they just destroyed Wolves 6-2. Here's the thing: United now have played 2 matches and they've scored 2 goals. All United's rivals have scored 4 goals or more in those matches, and all those other rivals have also played teams in the top 10. So you got Chelsea, City beat Chelsea 2-0, and then you've got Chelsea battering Wolves 6-2. Arsenal are scoring goals and also not conceding any for fun. Liverpool doing the same thing. They scored 2 goals. It's just like United just seem to it's the same thing over and over again. And it's the point where how many excuses is Ten Hag going to come out with? First, he said the team's not ready. Okay, well, you were told. Granted, you were in limbo of your job, but then you were given your job. You were told you're okay at the job. You were there from June, July, and now we're into August. What the fuck is he even doing in the summer if his team's not ready? I haven't yet to hear another manager say that. And
I honestly, I don't. I'm not a big fan. Last year I guess I feel like say was the exception just because it was overwhelming. But I mean, at some point it's like excuses are, like assholes, like the cliche. It's like everyone's got them, man. Every other team is going through their issues. Every other team has injuries. Every other team has this and that going on. Eventually the winning teams figure it out. So he's not the only one,
exactly. Like Pep could say the same thing. Pep didn't have a majority of his star players because the majority of them were playing at the Euros. Like he didn't have Rodri. No, throughout preseason he didn't have Ford.
Exactly.
Preseason he didn't have Kyle Walker. He didn't have all these players. But yet his team's still going out with playing a very specific and clear philosophy. Where Ten Hag right now, the United are still. I don't know what I don't see it yet still. And I get that the press looked great for the first 25-30 minutes of the match, and then as soon as Mount picked up his injury, it just went to shit because it was like that's why Mount was playing. He was the trigger for the press. But though you can say the same thing about Mazraoui, is that both goals came down his side. No, the cross came in.
Maguire
had to come over, and it was Dallo playing left back, and Maguire overcommitted over the right side because Mazraoui didn't mug up. Same thing again. It was down United's United's right side. The cross came in for the winner.
Right.
But if you watch the one thing, and I mentioned this, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the group chat. I watched back the match again. If you watch, and this is why I don't. There's another thing too. Like, we're getting rid of McTominay. McTominay actually will put a shift in. He'll work his arse off. Is he the most technically gifted player in the world? No. Is he world class? Absolutely not. But at the same time, like, I would take him over 50 Anthony's at this point, because if you watch the winning goal back, Anthony had the chance and he lost it. And instead of busting his balls to get back, he just sort of trotted, and then they'll go. Then literally like 5 seconds.
Lollygag.
But I watched the Brentford Liverpool match, and Salah in the first 5-10 minutes of the match had the ball and he took a really woeful touch and he lost it. And Brighton looked to break. Salah got on his bike and sprinted 35-40 yards back and got the ball back. And don't even know that. I don't understand. I just don't get it. And it's really frustrating. We're 2 matches into the season. I'm not trying to sound like one of those United fans that people hate that say, "Oh, he's being all negative," but it's just like it's 2 years now of Ten Hag. It's a lot of money being spent on players that he wants. This is not the
this is not the Ineos, like the edict coming down from the top of the mountain and saying you're getting what we tell you to get. These are his players.
I would understand if Ineos came in, we're doing like what they're doing, what Todd Bowley's doing over at Chelsea, just buying everybody and anybody. But it's not. Yeah. It's frustrating where a manager that came in for Brighton at the end of last season, at the beginning of the summer and last season, and he has his team now 2 wins, 2 matches, 2 wins. He's top of the league next to City. Whereas Ten Hag are not scoring. they're still giving up way too many shots, still got way too many chances against teams, and
Yeah.
they're about to go play Liverpool, who the last time they played Liverpool, and I think it's going to repeat, they were absolutely destroyed 3-0. Like, did they have chances against Liverpool? Yeah, but it's preseason, but I think it's going to be the same this weekend. I don't have any confidence in United. Like, maybe possibly get a draw, but maybe a 0-0 or 1-1, but I don't.
Yeah, I would not expect us to win against them. I just the way, indicative of what we've seen in the first two games so far, I'm not seeing it at all. I mean, we can't. Well, no, not only can we not finish in the final third, but I mean, our defense, we still have the same issues as last year.
And like, everyone keeps blaming the midfield, and like, no, they were. Of course, you hear the British media turn around saying like, "Oh, Casemiro had a match to forget," but I'm like, "What am I like?" You have a lot of other players. Like Kobe Manu didn't play his best at all. He gave away the ball, and then of course you hear people go, "Oh, well, he's exhausted from the Euros." He's not the only fucking player that played in that tournament.
Yeah. What do you think? He is the only one who played in an international tournament all summer? I mean,
I get it.
And he's 18 years old. He shouldn't be that tired.
So, I don't know what's going to happen at this point, but it wouldn't surprise me if Ten Hag went out with the same starting 11 that he did against Fulham and they did against Brighton. And
God, I hope not, because that would be the definition of insanity to me. You've seen it twice. It clearly isn't working.
We'll see. I think that's what's going to end up happening. And another thing too, like I hope somebody can actually maybe send this fucking podcast to Onana. He does know he can dive, right? He can dive for the ball. Does he know that? Like, and this is from a former goalkeeper. Like, a goalkeepers union goes very long and thick. We always try to have each other's backs, but that bastard does not dive for anything. Like, if the ball's outside of his grasp, just give an effort. Like, you never know what's going to happen. But every goal now, he just watches it go by. Like, I don't get it. The first goal I get it was across the box, but if he's moving his feet the way a goalkeeper is supposed to with a low hard ball, still just throw yourself around. Like, perfect example. You
never know.
Example, I don't know if you watched the Villa Arsenal match. Arsenal won 2-0. When it was 1-0, Villa had the crossbar, and Raya made like, I don't know if he touched on the crossbar, but he made an effort. It looked like it might have been looping over him, but he made the effort and ended up hitting the bar, and it bounced down, and Ollie Watkins was literally 6-yard box. All he had, and Raya's on the ground to his left. The net is gaping to Ollie Watkins' right, and he decided to do a stupid diving header. And Raya just got up, and Raya was already diving before he even headed the ball. He was just trying to get it back across the net, and he made an unbelievable save. But if you watch back in it, it wasn't like a reactive save. It was instinctive. Raya was just saying, "I need to get back up, I need to get across, and I put my hand up," and he did it, and he saved it. Where if we have Onana, if the ball's outside of his so-called belief of his peripheral vision, it goes on. It just goes on. He doesn't even make an attempt.
Yeah,
and I don't get it. Like, make an attempt. Just, who cares if you're not going to get it? Who cares? You just never know. You like the fact that
who cares what people are going to think of you or whatever. Just make an attempt. I mean, you never know. That one time you might actually stop it.
You don't know how. Like, Danny Welbeck in that first goal didn't exactly make the greatest of connections with it. If Onana would have just kept moving and just threw himself across, he may have got a hand on it. But the fact that he just stood there and watched it happen, he's another player that's. I'm still, the jury's out for me, but I'm still annoyed with the long ball he plays. He's supposed to be been brought on, and you end up having to slide tackle. He almost made a balls of it against Brighton. He had to make a slide tackle. So, like, come on, like, what? How is this anywhere of an improvement from David De Gea? I just don't get it.
No, I mean, honestly, just being brutal, candid or whatever, I wouldn't really say it is. I wouldn't really say it's an improvement, maybe a slight improvement. I wouldn't consider it a strength right now. Or, the jury's still out, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Again, it's another sign into Haggins.
Which is kind of funny because he was the one going in at the end of last season and going in, and he wants to take more or be a riskier player, is I think what the quote was. Correct.
Why doesn't he just try to be a better goalkeeper? How just stick to what you're not good at? Be a goalkeeper. Like, you think if you want to. I just don't get it because all these other, again, you just look at all the rivals, and every rival has a top-notch goalkeeper who can ping the ball to. Like United are trying to they got rid of a great shot stopper and almost like pretty much a club legend in David De Gea. He wasn't the greatest with his feet, so I get it.
Yeah,
you want Ten Hag has a mindset set on it. I get it, but then you bring in a goalkeeper who is better with his feet than De Gea is, but he's absolutely useless with his hands. So it's like Jesus, like. No.
Yeah. You just traded one thing for the other, basically.
Then, if you look at City, Ederson, he pings the ball and goes to every player, every Man City player every time. Alisson, I've watched him too many times doing unbelievable. He had a brilliant assist against United. Was it 2 seasons ago? And then his distributions on unreal. And if you look, Courtois the same way. Like all the top goal, Manuel Neuer, unbelievable too. He just retired. He just retired.
Yeah,
from the
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, all the top clubs, they all have, have that guy that is able to do that.
And it makes a massive difference. It makes a massive difference.
No, it really does. I mean, if you're just, kicking the ball up and every single time it's a 50-50 ball, it's like, all right, well, what good is it? What good are you doing me?
It's not what annoys me. It's not just that too. It's annoying me too, the fact that like United's set up right now under Ten Hag, it's not where it needs to be. It needs to be better. And in terms of they are creating chances, which is great to see. They're not taking them. I'm hoping eventually it's going to click and they're going to get some goals. But then it's like they're still also giving up too many chances. And when you do finally get when a team does finally break through United's midfield and United's back line, you want to be able to sit there and think, but they have to get past Onana now. But at this point, Onana doesn't even make a attempt for the ball, so it's like, fuck, that's a goal. I mean, that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, you're not wrong at all.
So Onana should have been. The man literally single-handedly, in my personal opinion, I know some people might disagree with me, dumped United out of the Champions League. Like I've seen, I've seen quadriplegic move better than him last year in the Champions League, and that's so. It's just it's the point where the man was about as useful as an ashtray and a motorcycle. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. Whereas the man he was replacing kept United in the Champions League sometimes, and then did they have a couple of clangers? He definitely did.
Oh yeah, I mean nobody's going to be 100% all the time, but I mean it's like we were just talking about. You basically just traded one. You just traded one strength for the other, and if one was, if Onana being able to be good with his feet was, I mean. We're not really seeing it so far, so it's like even the reason the supposed strength that you brought him in, it's not paying off as of yet.
I get it, like they want to try to build from the back and stuff, but at this point, teams have sussed United out, and it's really frustrating to see people now. I mean, other teams. Like Danny Welbeck, for example, scored the goal, and he was a nuisance, and he was deemed not good enough for United under Louis van Gaal. He was told that he moved on with Arsenal. Scored a couple of goals against United when he was at Arsenal, and FA Cup goal coming to mind. And now he's scoring again. And it's the point where, like, right, what about it? Like United brought back Johnny Evans. No, he's 37. But then I get all that, like bringing him back. It worked when it did, but he's not. John Evans isn't the answer. Yeah. But what annoys me here is that United needed a centre forward. Why when we look at Danny Welbeck and then I'm hearing Ivan Toney's been rumored.
Yeah, why not?
I'm hearing Ivan Toney's been rumored, but again, he's been left out of the squad at Brentford. So there's still no clear indication of where he's ending up. Is United going to go in for him, or are they going to turn around and say, nah, like he's because if Ivan Toney comes to United, he's going to have to start. And that means Højlund's going to have to be on the bench.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm glad you're bringing this up because I as we've, been watching these first two matches, and it's become abundantly clear that we do need another forward, like, desperately, because, even, at least for me, I noticed there is a difference, at least like when Xerxes is on the pitch. It's we definitely need We definitely need another forward because, like trying to have Bruno in that false nine and what we're doing right now, it's just not working. So obviously, it's definitely too late to bring in another forward probably at this point. I mean, we got, less than a week at this point,
well, it
right?
closes in a few days. Like, it's the 27th right now, so
Yeah. So, basically the next couple days. So I mean, realistically, nothing's happening right now. But I mean, at least to me, it's definitely abundantly clear we need some other type of forward. Regardless of if Hoyland is back at at full health or whatever.
Well, the Hoyland signing too, like, I get it. I hope he's going to be a good little player, but the one thing that bothers me is the price they paid for Hoyland. Whereas you've got other, like, United almost paid the same money for Hoyland that Atletico Madrid paid for Alvarez. So, like, when Alvarez,
Yeah. They seem like they potentially overpaid for someone who is still trying to figure out who they are as a player.
Exactly. So, and
he has the potential to be a really great player, but he's still developing.
100%. And I'm just, so we'll see what happens this weekend. But I'm not going to hold my breath. I think it's going to be the same team that's going to go out there. That's going to be, I think another thing that really papers over the cracks too, when you hear a lot of United players the fans turn around and say, "Yeah, but United had a lot of possession." I would say probably 80% of the United's possession is in their own half. I think.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think you're spot on. A lot of the possession is in their own half. It's them just, playing the ball back and, trying to wait for an opening or whatever. So it's not like they're constantly in the other team's, part of the field all the time.
So, I think a lot of times, it's where ball goes back to Nana and it goes Nana. And I think I've watched now enough teams when they play against United. As soon as that ball goes back to Nana, they don't press him. What they do is they push the team up to the point where they cut off all of his outlets. So they make him go long, and that's where he's.
Yeah, they force him.
That's the point now where, like, and I hate. There's nothing more infuriating when I watch, like, just any player, not just a goalkeeper, any player. When a player receives a ball and instead of using the inside of his foot to, like, keep the ball moving, like maybe if he's going to open up to his right or he's going to open up to his left, but Onana has this habit of just taking the ball and he stands on it. He puts the sole of his foot on it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's bringing on the pressure, and it's allowing it's him taking that down, slowing that down, is allowing the other team to get their shape, to communicate that, like, he's giving them all the opportunity in the world to be able to get back into shape. So we'll see what happens this weekend, but I'm not really. It's another situation where it's just really frustrating being a United fan right now because the fact it's like we don't know what team's going to show up. We don't know if it's going to be the team that played in the charity shield against Man City that should have won it, or the one that won the FA Cup, or is it going to be the team that got absolutely battered by Liverpool 7-0? No, what team's going to what team's going to show up? We don't know.
It is Jekyll and Hyde. It's like you said, it's so frustrating because there is times where we're watching it and it's like, oh my god, like this team could like go on and win the freaking league, and then the following weekend they could barely get could potentially get relegated. It's just mind-boggling.
Exactly. Like, as I said, we're going to see the team that bit Man City 2-1 or bit Liverpool 4-3 last season because it's a lot of similar players. Are we going to see the same team that show up and get absolutely battered by Crystal Palace 4-0 at Selhurst Park? I don't know which team's going to show up, and that's the frustrating part as a fan. Like, we're going on, like, I hate to say it, but it's like United fans have to go into a match now almost like a mid-table club mindset where it's like, we did well last week, but we're going to play Liverpool, so we might not get the result. That shouldn't be the case ever. Being a United fan. But unfortunately, that's the situation we've got ourselves, like, as a club, because United's going to go into, they're going to be at Old Trafford, and the fans are going to expect a response from the loss to Brighton.
Oh, of course, of course they are, 100%. All right. Well, so now that we're talking about Liverpool or whatever, how are you envisioning us? Do you think Ten Hag? Do you think he'll adjust his tactics? Or actually, well, I kind of feel like we probably know that answer. I'm gonna ask you, how would you line up tactically, or what would be your starting 11 going into this match?
Jesus. I would love the same the same setup that United had against the Man City FA Cup final, like where you had like that was like his best setup. Again, McTominay played in that match, but I would love to see. But at the same time, I don't want to be all defensive because they're at home. But I would love to see Garnacho starting left wing, Ahmad starting right wing. Xerxes up front.
That's what I was gonna say. Would you? Because I definitely would start Xerxes up front and have Bruno.
Have Bruno playing behind it. Here's another reason I play Xerxes up front. Xerxes, was on the Dutch national team. Did he play very much in the Euros? No. But one of the things he did do is that he would have went up against Virgil van Dijk every single day in training. So.
They're familiar with it. Yeah,
he's familiar with it, so he might be like, and just like Virgil van Dijk might know Xerxes' tendencies, Xerxes might know his. So he gets a little bit of a competitive edge with the fact he's going to go in against a player that he's familiar with. But I would like to see Xerxes start up front, Garnacho left wing, Ahmad right wing. The midfield then would be Mainu, Casemiro, Bruno,
Casemiro,
and then.
Would you bring in Ugarte off the bench at some point in this match, or would you give him an extra week, considering he's basically just arriving?
I wouldn't put him in the match the gap because two reasons. One,
it's too big. Yeah. It's too big. Well, too big of a game.
The media's made a big deal about United signing him, so there's going to be a lot of expectations on him. So that's the first thing. And then two, Luis Enrique's he removed him from the squad at PSG after he agreed personal terms with United back in June. So he has. I don't know what his match fitness is like. He hasn't played. Training. You can train as much as you want, but you can't. They really get match.
Yeah,
fitness I think that's what.
You got to play.
And I think that's what Ten Hag will probably say. Well, that's the reason I brought on De Ligt, and that's the reason I bring on. I get all that, but like at the same time, I think this match is just too much too important for Ugarte. So if anything, it'd be a good match for him to be. I wouldn't put him on the bench. What I would do, I'd have him with the squad, but I would have him sit up with the execs and just watch the match. Just to sort of like so that way he can really breathe in the Old Trafford atmosphere,
take in the whole So that way exactly.
United don't
100%.
Because if you put him on the bench, and and say Ten Hag brings him on and he has an absolute stinker, for a fact he's going to get crucified. If he puts him on the bench and doesn't play him, Ten Hag will be like, why did you spend Ten Hag and another 60 million euro player sitting on the bench not playing?
And exactly.
So I would I bring it. I just like he did it with Casemiro last year. Casemiro signed. United played a match. Casemiro got to watch it. I would say do the same thing. Or not last year, but the year before. And I would do the same thing. I would Ugarte just watch the match. What I would do before the match started, I would bring on Ugarte on the pitch before the match kicked off and show him off to the fans. Have him there holding a United jersey with his number. Get a couple of pictures.
Of course, give
like a better term, like a little victory parade around the Old Trafford. Let the fans get a look at him, and then just let him watch the match. But that'd be the start. The back line, I think, has to.
I was gonna. Are you doing De Ligt and Martinez in the center, or you want Maguire back there for this one?
I don't know if he brought off again. I was reading some reports that said the reason why he took off Maguire is because Maguire's been playing with an injury. I don't know how. I don't know how realistic that is. But if let's say Maguire is, I haven't seen any of the team used because it's still too early in the week. But I haven't seen anything to say otherwise that Maguire isn't fit, but I think he will end up choosing more than likely probably Maguire and Martinez. Specifically, I think he'll have. I don't know if he would switch because I don't. Dallo was getting a bit run ragged by. What I call it by Mente and the Matoma. From Brighton. And it was and the same thing too. He was getting run a bit ragged against Fulham as well when Traore was going bombing down the right wing, the United's left side, Fulham's right. So is Ten Hag going to expect Dallo to really keep Salah quiet, or is he going to turn around and say put him right back to go up against Diaz and then put Mazraoui against Salah? Salah. So
yeah.
I think he might have. I think the back line might be the same, and obviously Onana nets. But I would like to see, a Xerxes be the focal point of the team, and then use him as the trigger because he's a big lad. He's 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", pretty quick.
Yeah,
he's decently fast for his size.
Yeah, again, even though the goal was disallowed offside, but I guess it just kind of like it was like, okay, well, when you have a natural forward in there, because when you don't, they're gonna have that, or it's gonna have that natural instinct to go in and knock the ball in or whatever. I mean, it sucked that it turned out to be an offside goal, inverted touch offside goal for us or whatever. But I kind of just feel like having a natural forward in that position is in kind of being that focal point. And like you said, he's 6'5" or whatever. He should be able to get his head on the ball.
Just get the head on the ball. I wouldn't mind watching you do some have him hold up the ball, get some build up play, let Bruno make some secondary runs in behind and get a couple goals that way. Like have Garnacho running behind as well. That's honestly the lineup I'd like to see at the minute. I don't think Rashford has deserved anything at all to start.
I don't want to see him in the starting 11. I'd be really frustrated and disappointed if he's starting in this one.
Well, for all we know, he might start Garnacho and put Rashford up front. We just don't know. No, and then because he keeps coming out saying Xerxes still not match fit, and that's why he's not starting. I'm like, well, okay, what did they do at training? Because that's the number one thing you should be trying to work on. Once you set up a regime for Xerxes to get match fitness, like do a simulation of a match for him at training to the point where like he starts to get up to speed with everything.
Exactly.
But with that being said, like I don't know what's going to happen. But with all the reports floating around United, it's hard to really keep up with because within this sort of change a little bit of subject here because we see that Sancho, I read an article the other day that said Sancho, there was a private jet seen leaving Manchester airport and going to Italy, and it was Sancho. But then I'm also hearing on the other hand that United are in talks with Chelsea about doing a straight swap for Sterling. So I like you just said, I mean, who knows what to believe, what is fact and what is not, I mean, clearly, obviously, I mean, I don't really want Sancho on the team that more. I'm pretty sure I know you feel the same way. Obviously, I would say he's definitely fallen out of favor with Ten Hag. He hasn't really been featured much at all. I mean, he was, featured in some of the preseason matches or whatever, but I mean, that was probably just to show him off and try and get someone to pick him up. Shop him. In all honesty, that was just to sort of let team know he was available and he was fit. He's not injured.
Would you do the straight swap for him for Sterling?
See, here's the thing I would worry about Sterling. One, he's got a big he asked for a big wage, and then two, bringing in Sterling, I feel like Sterling's not happy at Chelsea right now, not playing, so that's why. And then he's been told by the manager that he's going to have to probably be surplus for requirements. But I don't know if Sterling was to come to United, it would end up stifling the development of either Garnacho or Ahmad, because you then would have a big money player like Rashford who earns a lot in a week not starting. Then you have Sterling not starting, and Jesus, the British media would have an absolute field day on Ten Hag of their two little English darlings didn't get to play week in week out.
Of course,
I think Ten Hag would end up preferring to not sign him, but at the same time, I don't think Sterling plays two-way football.
I don't know if he would be the answer for us. I agree with you on that.
I don't know why. I would love for United to say we'll do a straight swap with Juventus for Chiesa. I would love him. But
I would take him. Of course.
He's going to see sign up for Liverpool because he's another player that was told he's surplus to requirements at the club. So Why not just?
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to start and say, all right, Juventus is, we have a player with 1 year
Hey,
left in his contract. You have a player 1 year left.
he's tracked it weird. He's he's on the chopping block for us. Yeah, I actually, you know what? Actually, that's it's not a terrible
Yeah, but they're
idea,
already.
D.
I think he's already in talks with Liverpool. Which again,
Yeah,
is he going to
yeah.
start for Liverpool? That's another thing. Like who's he going to supplant on that Liverpool team? Like obviously Liverpool. The stuff are they going to put him up front?
Yeah.
Are they going to put him left wing, which he predominantly plays, and put Diaz up front and have Salah right
Mhm.
wing? Like Salah's naturally Salah can't really play up front. He's a brilliant right winger.
Yeah,
He's an
yeah.
unbelievable right winger. I think that's his strength. He can go down the line. I hate saying this because he plays for Liverpool, but he can go down the line. He can cut back inside on you. Like he can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, yeah. I mean, he's a tremendous talent. And I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah. I don't. God, of course, I would love to say we're gonna win. We're gonna win this match. I might have to figure out how I'm gonna watch this because I will be on a boat, D. So I don't know if they'll have the match on the TV there. Or actually, you know what? They probably will.
Hey, it's 11. What?
I would think so.
I would think so. Well, if not, just you should be able to get it on your phone.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'll have to figure it out somewhere.
Oh, well, you're letting the fans down then, Scooter. If you're going to say you're not even going to watch the match, you're too busy being on a boat. Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm gonna be on a bachelor trip. I mean, come on, D.
Oh, that's right.
Did you hear? Did you hear about supposedly there might be 2 hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico? While we're on this voyage.
Nah. Well, it doesn't surprise me, but like, I think you should be able to watch it on your phone if you have your if you get the what do you call it again, the internet package or whatever.
Well, I would. Yeah, well, I would imagine. Well, I would hope they have. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get the internet package because I have Peacock, so yeah, I could throw it up on my phone. But I would imagine they probably have NBC Sports on the boat.
You never know. I just know. I would just try to rely on your phone if anything, just to use the internet on it.
Yeah,
as long as you don't get the whole Peacock is not available in this region kind of thing.
True story. I mean, I think we kept this one, I guess, under an hour tonight. I think we covered just about everything we wanted to hit tonight. Do you got anything else you want to hit tonight before we wrap up?
Not really. I think honestly, this United's transfer window, I believe, is done as of today. Like in terms of of targets and stuff. So I don't think I'd be very surprised if United going for any other player, if they're going for like Ivan Toney, or if there's a swap deal where I think at this point I think United just need to get a couple players out the door. Like Sancho McTominay is on his way out.
Yeah. Kind of get the the older players or the players that are just not really living up to anything, and see you later. Thank you, and have a good one.
Pretty much. So. Yeah, I'm hoping to see a team, like I mentioned earlier, a reaction to the Brighton loss. Ten Hag actually get his tactics right. Ten Hag not making any stupid substitutions just for the sake of making a substitution. It has no tactical significance to the match. No, I don't want to all of a sudden see United be 1 each against Liverpool in the 75th, 80th minute, and then all of a sudden he goes, off you come, Maguire, go ahead, delete, or
Yeah, delete or whatever, and then in the the 91st or 92nd minute, here's the equalizer or whatever. Because I could definitely see that definitely happen. Or it's 0-0 and Liverpool get the winning goal in added time. I could see either one of those.
Right now at this point, like that's the one thing I just want to see is just better substitutions, better in-match management, like game management. Because right now, Anthony doesn't bring anything to the team. He brings him on. Delete going off of Maguire, you're just literally replacing a big fat-headed English fella with a big massive mountain of a fella from Holland. It's literally like it's just the same person, just all they're just different nationalities. And then,
Anthony, I feel like has got to be it's got to be an ego thing, just because that was one of his guys and the amount of money. But I mean, even him at some point he's got to say, all right, look, man, this has been a complete and utter bust.
100%. And I think that's another example there of a player that isn't good enough for United, but it's getting to stick around. Like McTominay, no, I think he's earned a spot in the team, but he's been told, you're not good enough.
McTominay, like we talked about earlier, at least he puts a shift in and does work or whatever. I don't have a fucking clue what Anthony does.
No, other than like bleach his hair, that's about as much as he does. Even the young Uruguayan player Pelistri, he was sold to Panathinaikos. So like, how is Anthony allowed to stay when the likes of other players who, I actually had high expectations for Pelistri. I thought he was a decent little player, but he's told to leave.
Well, here's the thing: is like some of the play. Was there even any genuine interest out there? Is he just that bad of a player that nobody even really called and knocked on the door for him?
That's true. Yeah, honestly, I think the team, if a team was to take him, I think they would try to do either a massive cut price,
Well, I was gonna say, you probably have to get rid of him for a massive, a massive loss, and on it, I don't have that all in front of me or whatever, but with like the FFP or whatever, it might not have, honestly, financially, it might not have worked.
I can just tell you right now, if Anthony doesn't leave United, if he's not bought by somebody, he'll end with just like Tony Martial, where Tony Martial left United and he is still without a club. And United listed around 40-something million on him, and he's going to be in the same boat in a couple of years, or he's just not going to be good enough. And Ten Hag's got no excuse to be able to say, if his tactics are as solid as he claims they are, then these players are coming in from Ajax. Like, I didn't realize United were becoming the Ajax reserve team. That he's got Martinez, De Ligt, Mazraoui, Anthony, and Onana. All five players were from the Ajax team that Erik Ten Hag managed. There's no excuse for the tactics.
Well, that's there's, like you said, there's no excuse for the tactics, because like you just listed off, is like these guys, even though they haven't played for them in several years or whatever, it's not like they have forgotten his tactics or whatever. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you'll figure it out.
So,
you always remember.
I want to say. I just want to say. I think it's done the transfer window. I'd be very surprised if Sterling comes across this, because of like the fact that he played for two of United's biggest rivals. But Michael Owen done it, so
yeah. Well, I mean, it's happened in the past, but yeah. I would say probably unlikely. All right. Real quick, I guess, before we sign off, give me a prediction for this match. What's your score prediction?
I'm conservative. I'm hoping for a 1-1. I can't like this. I'm
1-1 draw.
Like at this point, the last time I was as downtrodden on United, they bit Man City in the FA Cup final. So I'm hoping for maybe 1-1. Maybe United might sneak a 2-1, but I can't.
I'm leaning towards 0-0 probably. That's what I'm leaning towards.
Nah, United.
You don't think so?
United's defense is about as useful as a strainer when it comes to holding water. It's just leaks. It just they'll give up too many chances. Diaz is too fast. Salah's too good. I even think that McDarwin Nunez look like fucking Lewandowski, and I worry about the midfield, because we've seen it happen in the preseason tour. I think it's going to be very similar. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I can't see United based on what I've seen against Brighton. Can't see United getting any. I'm hoping to get a goal, but maybe catching Liverpool on the break. Because that's how Brentford this past weekend. That's literally how Brentford seemed to almost get a couple of their goals. Liverpool were a little bit sloppy in possession. Brentford have I'm trying to remember. Is it Wiza, or I think his name is? He plays there, and then there's Mbeumo is also plays with them, and they're lightning quick, and they almost caught him a few times, but then just Liverpool just stifled them. But we'll see what happens with the match. It all depends on what team selection Ten Hag goes out with, and also depends on what in match management and substitutions he makes. They just are head scratchers.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Thanks for everyone to listening to another episode of the Big and Smalls podcast. Next week, obviously, since I will be on a boat, we will have to do a recap we'll have to do a Liverpool recap. Hopefully it's a United victory, and we will also probably do a preview for the upcoming match. And so yeah, we'll get an episode out to you sometime probably late next week. Again, Biggie and Smalls podcast. Thanks for listening. Hey, if you feel like giving us a sponsor too, shoot us a line. DraftKings, Guinness. I
my money to Guinness.
Magners D. Carlsberg, come on, throw us a come on. Hey, I think Aftershock is out of business. I'll take a sponsorship from them too, D.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I think that we just went way off the rails, so it's probably best for us to sign off.
I think it's best. Save some dignity.
All right. All right, we'll talk to you next week, guys.